It's been just over 4 weeks since the iPhone has been announced and a few weeks since I've been playing around with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. In today's video, I'm going to take a closer look at some of the features, what works well and what doesn't work so well. I'll also be doing a comparison against my 12 Pro Max because that's the model I had previously and how good of an upgrade it really is. Now in this year's update there wasn't really too much for Apple to brag about, but we'll take a closer look at how well the dynamic island works, the always on display, and a closer look at the camera. If you are new here, remember hit the subscribe button. Let me know down in the comments below if you've upgraded to this year's range and which model you bought and how well it's working out for you. And if you haven't already, my Amazon affiliate link is down in the description below, so you can feel free to check it out and it helps me bring you more videos like this. The dynamic island is the biggest change so far for me on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. They've taken the bad notch design that sits on top of the screen and made it into something that could actually be really useful. I do say it's a bad design, but you get used to the notch being there when it was there. At the moment, there's a limit in terms of the things you can do with the dynamic island, and that's because it's built with the native apps on the phone. But I'm really excited to see what some of the third-party developers will come up with and how well they can utilize the dynamic island. You can see within the timer app, you can set the timer and then press and hold onto it so you can go in and pause and continue. When you're recording voice notes, you can go ahead and click and hold down and that pops up. Again, you have a stop button. Again, I'm hoping they build out more functionality into this so you can also have a pause button in this as well that you saw in the previous timer. When you play music, you can see the track and you have the ability to skip to the next track, move to your favorite part of the track, and even AirPlay directly from the dynamic island, which is quite useful and helpful. But can you imagine Apple building this out to be the old iPod library where you can scroll between your albums? Maybe a useful feature, but one thing's for sure, the dynamic island will definitely make some of the functionality within the apps redundant. So what happens when you're running all three apps? What happens to the dynamic island? Well, you can see I'm playing the music at the moment, and when you turn to the timer, you can see on the menu it goes side by side, which is really useful so you can see multiple items. However, when I go ahead and turn on the voice recorder, you can see the music icon disappears. However, the only annoying thing is when you do close the voice recorder, for example, the music also disappears. So you have to go back into the app. The dynamic island doesn't bring the item back there for you. Maybe slightly frustrating for some people, but either way, I like the idea. And I think this could be really useful. And as I mentioned before at the start, I'm really looking forward to the third parties to start developing on this. There's one bit I don't like though, which a few people have mentioned this already, and that's the gap between the dynamic island. It just makes me think it's such a small gap and it can't really be used for anything. So when you're looking at a photo or a video and you zoom in, the dynamic island is in the way. The only way that gap gets used is within the dynamic island as well. Otherwise, it just sits there redundant. For the always on display, I'm going to say this took me a few days to get used to. If you've been with the Apple ecosystem for a while, you know that when the screen comes on, you're looking for your notifications or some sort of activity that's happened on the screen. Now with this, it's a little bit different. It shows your normal display, except the brightness is completely turned down. I really want to run some tests to see what the difference is, whether I leave the always on display on or turn it off, and how it affects the battery life, whether it's something that will improve or stay the same or get worse. Let me know if you want to see a video like this down in the comments below. Now let's talk about the camera. This year they introduced a new 48 megapixel camera to the back of the iPhone, an upgrade from the previous generation's 12 megapixel camera. Now what does this mean? It means it's a bigger sensor which allows more light in, which means you can take better low light pictures. Now I'm saying from now I'm nowhere near a photography expert, I just know some of the basics, so I'll let the pictures and videos do the talking for themselves and let you make your own decision, and I will give you my opinion. But we'll get to those videos and photos shortly. You now have the 2x option within the camera, which utilizes the bigger sensor, and you can also take up to 2x better low light photos. As I mentioned, I want to take a closer look at these features, and I'm going to put my iPhone 12 Pro Max against the 14 Pro Max and see how we get on. So first let's start with night mode. I'm going to pop these up on the screen and I want you to take a look and tell me which one you think is which. Now I might be a bit harsh with this test because there is pretty much no light in this picture, so it's not really a low light photo, but to the untrained eye there's actually not too much difference between these two. So whereas it's saying you will get up to 2x better photo, I can't see the difference just here. So don't get me wrong, the photo in this kind of light is pretty impressive. I'm just trying to demo in this scenario that there isn't really too much difference. Now, you saw the macro feature on the iPhone 13 Pro last year, and this is a new feature for me. You can see the details that get captured with the macro feature, and it's really impressive comparing to the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which would just completely blur out at this point. I also wanted to show you how you could use the 48 megapixel camera to zoom in, so now there's greater detail when you take photos. So you can have a look at these two photos that I've taken fairly similar side by side. But when you zoom in, and if I zoom in just now, you can still see it keeps the image clear and very detailed. The iPhone also has a 2.5 times and a 2 times on the 14 Pro Max, so those are two side-by-side comparisons. And then you also have a 3 times on the 14 Pro Max, and you can see the clarity of the image is still really good. Another feature I was really excited about this year was the action mode. Now, I do love this feature, and what I'm showing you is on the right you can see the image where I've actually taken it from the camera and how shaky it is, and on the left you can see how the image stabilization works. But will this replace my gimbal for my B-roll shots? Most probably not. And that's because of the light that's needed for this mode. Shooting in action mode in the dark is just not possible. So for example, if I point this camera at me and if I wanted to shoot something, it keeps going and telling me I need more light, which you can see just at the top. If I go ahead and record this, the video comes out more blurry and flickering. So it just isn't very good in low light. Another thing to note is Apple didn't tell you is the action cam can only go up to 2.8K. So there's no 4K action cam footage coming out of this. So maybe this is a feature coming in next year's model and to keep you buying into their ecosystem. Apple has now decided to add 24 frames per second into the cinematic mode. Again, this is really useful for B-roll shots because you can take some like this, but I'm sure there are more videographers with more skills than I have that will put this to better use. This is one last comparison for you in terms of photos. This is my studio in low light mode, so I just have one light on at the back. Now completely ignore the mess, but you can see how the image does perform slightly better in low light, not no light. Apple does have a brighter display now. So in the sun, I put the 12 Pro Max side by side against the 14 Pro Max, and you can see the brightness is a little bit more. The iPhone 14 Pro is a little bit brighter, but one thing to note is that the phone gets very hot, so the display won't stay at this brightness for long. So for the performance, the new phone always comes with a new chip, and the A16 is no different. I don't know how much power Apple is going to keep cramming into these silicon chips. Now, I did notice a little bit difference between my 12 Pro Max and the 14 Pro Max, so it's definitely a plus if you are looking to upgrade. It's faster switching between apps, searching, and the app responsiveness is a big improvement. If you do have the 13 Pro Max, you probably won't be noticing too much of a difference in terms of speed. Perhaps if you're doing something a little bit more intense, like editing, rendering, on the new phone, then the A16 chip might be that little bit faster. Is this worth buying? Well, I've put mine up against the 12 Pro Max, and there are some differences. The speed is definitely a little bit of a plus. Perhaps to the average user, they might not notice it as much, but the photos and videos are definitely an improvement from the 12 Pro Max and the features. I will throw in there is crash detection and satellite SOS, which are all bonus features, but it's not something I'm sure you're planning to use every day. If you have the money to spend on this, sure, go ahead, get the upgrade. It feels more like a luxury upgrade just to say you have the new phone rather than some of the features within. For me, the added features from the 12 Pro Max, it made it worthwhile buying for me. So if you're still using last year's model, you may want to hold off, or if you want to go ahead and upgrade, feel free to do so. But let me know if you've upgraded your phone from a 13 Pro Max and how well it works. I hope this video has been useful. Remember, the links are down in the description below. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. This is InsideWire, and I'll see you in the next one.